Hello and welcome to a new edition of the Movie Kit podcast. I'm your host, Kit Bowen. We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the big film over the weekend, Captain America: Brave New World. And joining me in this conversation is my very good friend Joel Amos. Joel, how are you today?
Quite well, thank you. Thank you.
So we've jump started Marvel again. Usually they tend to release a film earlier in the year, and we've got this one. I'm not sure when this one was actually made, but it is I guess the continuation of actually it's the continuation of the Incredible Hulk movie. There's all kinds of references in this film, but let me read you the description real quick. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. It stars Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, aka Falcon slash Captain America. He's Cap now. Also, Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross, now President Thaddeus Ross. Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas, I really liked actually. Tim Blake Nelson, Giancarlo Esposito, a lot of good people in the film. But I don't know. Well, I'm going to have you start us off. What did you think of Captain America: Brave
Um,
New World?
all right.
Exactly.
Um, you, it's all right. Um, I almost feel like in New York, I'm like, I,
I say,
uh, it's I. It wasn't like terrible, but I think all involved deserve better. Um,
mhm.
Particularly Mackie, and I don't know. I mean, I just think it's funny too that Harrison Ford finally joins uh, a superhero world and he's the Red Hulk. And it's kind of funny. Like you can tell it's Harrison Ford kind of by the face of the Hulk. Like I just never in my life thought that I'd see Harrison Ford's face on a Hulk. And I just kind of couldn't get past that.
It
But
was a little hard to get past it. Yes,
yeah, okay. It
agreed.
wasn't just me. But I was like, that's Indiana Jones and Han Solo. I don't really buy that. But
He's played the
you
president before without having to turn into the Red Hulk, so there's
right.
that as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought that too. Is like he's what is his fourth president now? He's played, I think, third
I
or
think
fourth.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was okay. Uh, I think there are plenty of Easter eggs and things that Marvel fans will love, but also if you're kind of new to this world, they do a pretty good job of like making this movie so that it could stand alone. Like you have to know. I mean, it
Right.
enhances it to know things, but you won't miss out on plot of this particular film if this is your first experience down that rabbit hole. But if it is, I promise you there are much, much better options.
Yes.
Um, and I think this leads to a wider discussion maybe, but later. But it's like, what's going on over at Marvel?
I
Um,
mean, we'll definitely have that conversation in a second. I feel the same way about this. This was just so. Um, I mean, there are parts to it like I said, I really did like that character. She was she was the president's head of security and played by Shira Haas. Her name was Ruth Batsaroff, and I guess she's a widow. She's from that world, so she's connected to the Black Widow. So she's kind of kick ass. I really know. I really liked that character. That was
mhm.
about the only character I really liked. I mean, Anthony Mackie's fine, right? I mean, he's okay to take the mantle. I'm okay with that. I am, and I think I think he does a pretty good job with it. Harrison Ford is the one I felt I had a feeling I would, and I kind of did. Just felt a little embarrassed for.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to take over the role that was originally played by William Hurt, because William Hurt has now passed, and that's very sad. But the thing about this movie, though, is it is kind of a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, which came out, what, 2008, something like that. Who remembers that movie? I mean,
Right.
I had to look it up to find out who Samuel Stearns was, which is played by Tim Blake Nelson. I'm like, I don't remember him. I mean, first of all, I've only seen that Edward Norton one once. Um, I don't know. It just, like I said, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst thing. I mean, they've certainly since the end of Endgame, Avengers Endgame, they have made worse Marvel movies, in my opinion,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
including the Marvels.
Yes,
Um, and Immortals, but here we
yeah.
are again, sort of harkening back to that film as well, because at the end of that movie, there's some celestial being that was going to rise out of the wherever and just stomp all over Earth. Somehow they get to stop it, but half of it's still in the ocean, coming out of the ocean. So it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're back on that movie again too. I mean, like you said, it's what's here's the thing. The first phase of Marvel was
Hmm.
so well planned out, right?
Perfection.
I mean, it was not every movie hit, but
Hmm.
out of all the 17 movies that came out, starting with Iron Man and then through to Avengers Endgame, there was you could see an arc, right? You could
Hmm.
see what was going to be happening. And it was perfection planned out to the T. And there weren't any TV shows thrown into the mix, and there wasn't all this other stuff going on. And then it was just the movies. And like I said, some were better than others, but they all had to have their origin movies, they all had to have this, blah blah blah. But it there was a plan, and you could see it. And as it got closer to the end of it, it got better and better and better, in my opinion, the movies. So um this time around, I just don't. They're kind of. It feels like they're just flying by the seat of their pants, and they are interjecting some of the TV shows that on Disney Plus, the Marvel shows, into the movies, which is fine, but it doesn't. It's like you literally have to be on top of it at all times to understand exactly what's happening. And I still don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts about this? Where do you think it's going? I know Kang is supposed to be sort of the and bad guy, but I mean, not one mention of him yet, really,
That
in the movies.
well, I think that changed, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
the Me Too
Right.
uh, business, so I think that forced Kevin Feige's hand to like completely change course. Like he had a plan. I am not really in love with that character, so I mean, it's no Thanos by a long shot.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of fine that that fizzled. I mean, of course, not for anybody that was involved with that little scandal, but like I don't know. It just feels like they're running in quicksand. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just like, you know, I remember after Endgame came out and all of us talked about it a lot, that
Sure.
they'll be studying phase one of Marvel in film schools for a century to come.
Oh yeah.
Uh, because I mean, it is, for lack of a better word, a movie marvel. I mean, it just the way you plan something over 17 movies over 10 years and the payoff is worth it. I mean, I'll never forget the cheers people when Anthony Mackie came through the portal and
Yeah.
called out the cap, and people just sort of was like, what? And like people were standing and cheering and hugging and crying. And, I mean, this is not the same studio, Marvel Studios, that endeared itself to audiences that's going on now. There have been too many misfires, and I I hate to think that like they've used up all the good material because I mean they've got like 50, 60 years of comic book materials to work with, and
Right.
surely there's some incredible stories in there. They're just choosing the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or they're trying to piece together something that was a plan before that got blown to bits. And, uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. And I think also like although I did like some of the Marvel shows, I think Marvel shows diluted it a bit.
Yes. That's a
Uh,
very good point.
and it was just like too much of a good thing. And
They
the
got
Scarlet
greedy.
yeah, Yeah, well, I also think they got greedy, and I also think Disney Plus needed content. And
Right.
they're like, you guys churned out 17 movies in 10 years. Why don't you give us some shows? And Marvel was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Okay.
Um, all right. So yeah, I don't know. And it's interesting. Uh I got home from seeing this movie. I did the strangest, that's not the strangest thing. I watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah, so
And
good.
I was like, "You there? Okay, thank you. You just cleansed my palate." Like like I said, it wasn't bad, but like I needed to be reminded of what how it used to be so good.
Yeah.
Like the odds were much more in your favor to come out of a movie, Marvel movie, just being like that was amazing,
Yeah.
than not. And now it just seems to be the opposite.
Yeah. I know, and it is a little disconcerting because I've been on this ride for so long. I don't want to jump off of it. I want them to somehow finally get to a point that because I mean we've got Thunderbolts coming up, which is actually looks kind of fun to me. Who knows though? Um, which which was introduced in Black Widow, and then you've got the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character, which was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, and right, wasn't she? I think she was,
Yep.
but she was introduced even before that. But so I mean, how are they going to play into it? Because I mean, spoiler alert on this film, by the way. Obviously, hopefully most people have seen it, but there are a couple of spoilers. But there is a cameo in this movie by Sebastian Stan, and as Bucky, with
Makes
obvious
makes sense.
makes sense, right? Obviously, that was the kind of fun little scene. But I didn't understand what the deal was. He's running for Congress, so is that going to be further explored in Thunderbolts? I'm
Doesn't look like it,
hoping.
but yeah, I mean it could be.
So, I mean, yeah, and they just keep throwing stuff at us, and you're like, what's happening? What's gonna happen? All I know is hope I kind of can glean from this movie is that the president tasks Captain to create a new Avengers. So if that is actually what's going to end up happening, then we need to figure out who's going to be in that group, right? Or some of
Right.
the Thunderbolts people going to be in that group, or do we have new people coming on board? I mean, we still have Ant-Man, we still have um Thor, we still
Hmm?
have, I guess, we still have Guardian people, we still have some other people, but yeah, I just I don't know, and it's sad because and I honestly I feel like they just blew their wad on phase one, and they just really
Yeah.
can't ever really get it back together again that I can
No.
see.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is phase five now, I think. Like, I mean, I couldn't
Is it?
tell you. I have four, yeah, five. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what happened in two or three.
But at the end, there is a end credit scene uh, between Anthony Mackie's character and Samuel Stern's, where he says, "You're not the only ones. There's other worlds." I'm like, really? I mean, is that where we're going again? Like, it it just didn't hold any punch. And I'm like thinking, what else could they do? What I just don't know, Phil.
Well, I mean, the thing is too is like one thing. I mean, I wasn't the hugest comic book nerd, but I mean, I certainly was friends with a lot of them, and I'm friends with a lot of them. And you know, when it
What
was
are they
revealed
saying?
that that oh, they just that it was okay, same thing basically. Like it was okay, but when you're
Yeah,
used to Civil War, Captain America Civil War, and you think, compared to that, like this is a B movie. It should go straight to video. But like,
right.
um, but the thing is, like when it was revealed that the person pulling the puppet strings was Thanos, um,
Yes.
those comic book nerds or whatever, aficionados, better word, um, were quaking in their boots. I mean, that is the single worst villain in the entire Marvel universe.
Yes,
And
yes,
you rightfully, it was a great villain, but like, if that's your worst villain, where do you go from there?
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's part of the problem we have now. And something Robert Downey Jr. said at the press conference for, I think it was Civil War, is he said, one thing he's learned from these Marvel movies is any movie is only as good as its antagonist.
yeah. It's
And I
true.
think they've had an antagonist problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
So
so,
anyway, we'll see how it all works out. I mean, I don't know about this. I mean, it's like I said, I wasn't necessarily bored. Well, actually, I was a little bit, to admit, I was actually. But I still thought there was enough in it to keep me going. So, and the Red Hulk, him turning into the Red Hulk, Harrison Ford was a little cringy, but kind of fun at the same time. But really, what was the most cringy was when you know Captain America's talking him down. He's got a cherry blossom in his palm, and and all I kept thinking was, "Sun's getting kind of low there, big guy." That's what calms him down. The cherry blossoms on his daughter. So yeah, that was a
yeah,
little silly. So I don't know, 3 stars maybe 2.5. I
two
don't
and
know.
a
What are
half.
you? Two and a
I'm
half.
going 2.5. Middle of the
Yeah,
road, right
middle
smack
of
in
the
the middle.
road. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll get their act together maybe here and figure out a plan. But I am kind of looking forward to the Thunderbolts, though. It looks fun,
Yeah,
kind of like a Guardians fun. So I'm hoping for that anyway.
yeah, and it
But
seems kind of like Guardians, like kind of like it starts out seeming like it's a side story,
yeah,
like it could be a one and done movie, but I have a feeling
yeah,
there's much more to it. I think they're putting a lot into it actually, so who knows? We could be very surprised.
yeah. All right. Well, hopefully.
Hopefully,
So that should do it for us for this week. Next week I don't think there's really much opening unless you go see The Monkey, which I did get a chance to see. It was kind of fun. But I'm thinking maybe next week, if you're up for it, we might do an Oscars, just the two of us, because we are
yeah,
both on a few podcasts about Oscar, but just the two of us talking about it. What do you think?
sure,
Maybe do
that
that
sounds
next
good.
week. All right,
Yes,
cool. So, because now all of the awards have been given out except for the Oscars.
yeah,
Oh no, the SAGs. Is that tomorrow night or
I
tonight?
think tonight.
Tonight. Okay, so yeah.
I think it's
So
tonight. It's
after
on
tonight,
Netflix.
all of the awards will be handed out. So we'll have a clear idea of some stuff. So look for that
Yeah.
next week. We're gonna do an Oscars podcast. Just me and Joe next week. So
Alrighty
thank you,
then.
Joel. Thank you again, and you guys tune in to the podcasts and comment and let us know if you saw Captain America: Brave New World. Let us know what you thought about it. But we shall return next week. So everyone, take care. Bye.